Chapter 6 of Meet Me Under the Mistletoe. So you're probably thinking, why Brian? What more could there be to this story than the events of today? Well, in 6th grade, Brian and I had 7 minutes in heaven together. But if my memory serves me correctly, it was more like hell. Wyatt and I were invited to Naomi Weir's 11th birthday party. She was one of the most popular girls in school. Every year she invited the entire class to her house for Christmas-themed festivities. It was well played on her part since she always received a ton of presents. Wyatt and I marveled at the glittery invitations when she passed them around class. It was almost laughable to have a party at this age, but since she was the most popular girl in school, we thought it might help our chances of sitting at the cool kids' table in junior high the following year. "What do I even get a girl for her birthday?" Wyatt whined. His dad had given us a lift up north to the nearest mall to go shopping the weekend before the party. His ulterior motive was gift shopping for Wyatt and his little sister. "Why can't my dad just get something for her instead? He buys things for my sister." We sifted through accessories at the local teen fad store. I was bemused watching him pick up fuzzy journals and pens with giant lips on them, inspecting them, wondering why anyone would even want to buy these things. I think at one point I even heard him mutter, "What the hell is this?" when he picked up an electronic fortune cookie. I sighed and turned to him, "Because she has to believe that you picked it out, not your dad." I inspected some silver earrings and weighed them against my option of a best friend's necklace. If I wanted a seat at the popular table, I had to be strategic. Naomi and I had been partners for a science project the previous fall. She said that she had a hard time reading, considering so much of her time was spent in school clubs, so I didn't mind working on the project for both of us. She was super happy when we got an A on the project. I was sure she was too busy with all the clubs she was in to talk to me since then, but I was certain in the new year she'd have more time for me. I was wrong. She used me, as popular kids often do. On the night of the party, Wyatt's dad drove us to Naomi's house. She lived in a big farmhouse outside of town. It was dark when our headlights flashed up the long-lit driveway. We were greeted by flashing woodland creatures covered in white twinkling lights, tall pine trees decked with multicolored lights eventually fading up into the night sky, rotating elves making presents, and the grand finale, Santa waving from his sleigh led by a crew of wooden reindeer. "Damn, these people have money," Wyatt's dad said a little too loud. I looked down at my foil-wrapped gift, hoping I made the right choice. I snapped out of it when a gust of wind startled me. "Thanks, Dad," Wyatt called out as he slammed the car door shut. "Thanks, Mr. Green," I echoed. Nervously, I followed Wyatt to the front door. Naomi's grandmother, with whom she lived, answered the door and took our coats so we could join the others. The evening started off fine. It was the usual pizza party, presents piled high on the counter. This time, the latest streaming blockbuster movie was replaced with music videos, and instead of Pin the Tail on the Donkey, it was Truth or Dare, or an even worse fate. When it came to open gifts, Naomi tore through the presents without a care. It looked like a little kid's Christmas morning aftermath, with presents and torn wrapping paper littering the living room floor. Not a shred of carpet could be seen. When she got to my gift, I could feel my heart stop beating. Naomi looked down at the little box and pouted. It was smaller in comparison to the makeup and purses she received. With a quick shrug, she ripped into the paper. Her eyes lit up when she saw the little black cardboard box. "Dana, you shouldn't have," she fussed. When she wiggled the lid off of the box open, panic took over my body. Would she like it? Confusion spread across her face, and what I thought was a smirk. "Dana, you shouldn't have," she giggled and showed the box to Tamara Adams, my worst nightmare at school. I felt totally and utterly humiliated. They were making fun of me. I should have gone with the earrings. After a while, Naomi's grandma went to her room for a rest. I guess looking after 25 prepubescent teenage kids was a handful. As soon as her grandmother told us to holler if you need anything, her creaky knees made their way up the wooden steps, signaling to her mischievous grand spawn that the tone of the party was about to change. So you're probably thinking, what does this party have to do with me and Brian? Slow your roll. I'm getting to it. The mood lighting changed, and for many of the partygoers, so did their emotions. So, let's play 7 Minutes in Heaven. Who's in? Several of us looked around at each other, panic-stricken. I knew other kids in my class were dating each other. When I think back then, what did that even mean? Some of us didn't have any desire yet to hold hands with a boy, let alone kiss one. At this age, I hardly had any interest in any boy. Sure, I listened to the popular rock band at the time, but that didn't mean I wanted to kiss them. Ew! And yet, here I was on the brink of becoming a teenager, whether I liked it or not. Naomi stood from her cross-legged position, brushing off excess glitter and lingering ribbon onto the floor. So who wants to go in the closet first? She asked. I'd go first, but Derek and I already kiss. She leaned down and gave her pimple-laced, brace-faced boyfriend a sloppy wet kiss. I, for one, was aghast. I did not want to do that. She crept around the makeshift circle we'd created when we started to watch her open gifts. I thought I was going to pass out from anxiety and from the flashing lights from her tinsel-covered tree. She lurked behind us, selecting her victim. She stopped on Brian, who smiled sheepishly as he devoured his third slice of birthday cake. You're first, Naomi excitedly informed him. Cool, what do we do? He smiled. Green icing stained his teeth. Naomi groaned a little and shifted into a menacing giggle. You'll find out. She looked around the room to see who'd be joining him. I didn't know if it was the one too many pieces of candy cane fudge or the thought of being locked in with green teeth that made me want to hurl. My stomach flipped when her eyes rested on mine. A sinister smile spread across the birthday girl's face. Dana, how about you join Brian? I knew from the moment she opened her gift that her heart was 10 times too small, even though I should have known that when we did our project together. Oh no, someone else go first. I'll wait, I stuttered. My face flushed red. I searched the room for Wyatt to save me, and I later learned he had locked himself in the bathroom to escape this horrid game. Come on, it's my birthday, she twirled her curls around her little finger. Do it for me. It's my birthday after all. Bestie. There was an orchestra of stifled laughter from around the darkened room. I knew I had no choice in the matter. I looked across at Brian, who was wide-eyed and hopeful. This was probably the first and only time in several years to come that he'd kiss a girl. I didn't want my first kiss to be with him, but I really wanted to be friends with Naomi. Thinking back, why did it matter so much? What did I care about her? Hindsight is 20/20, as they say. Before I knew it, I was being led into the coat closet in the front hallway with Brian. All I remember is hearing inaudible voices explain the rules and being shoved into the dark space with green teeth. Those few minutes felt like an eternity. I could feel the heavy winter coats press against my back. With every movement, they shuffled loudly against me. I was so close to Brian, I could feel his warm breath, sweet from the cake and spicy from nachos, against my face. Later in life, we'd both learn the importance of a pre-kiss mint when it came to time to kiss other people. So, he tried to play it cool. So, I offered back. He gulped nervously. In the darkness, I was able to make out the lines of his face and the twinkle in his eyes, faintly lit by the front hallway light. Chuckling voices from the living room reminded us of the time. So, do you want to kiss? He mustered. He reached out his hand and gently took mine. He was making his move. Might as well. The truth was, I didn't want to kiss him, and he sensed that. Or not, we could totally just talk. I sighed with relief. He still held onto my hand, which I didn't mind. For the next 2 minutes, he regaled me with a whispered story about his new bearded dragon. Brian was always a talker, and he never grew out of that. 60 seconds, Naomi bellowed. I could hear her creaking outside the door, likely from the old flooring of the farmhouse. I hope you had fun. Maybe we can sit together on the bus next week and I could tell you more about my dragon. I smiled, thinking Brian was so sweet to me. He didn't push when he realized I didn't want to kiss him. and he made me feel comfortable with him in an uncomfortable situation. Sure, I said, I'd like that. And just like that, I did the most unexpected thing. I leaned in and kissed Brian on the cheek. When my lips parted his flesh, I saw in slow motion his jaw dropped and his eyes widen. Before another word could be spoken, the doors of the closet flew open. For a moment, there was a bright light, and then a figure loomed over us, darkening the doorway. What's going on in here? Naomi's grandmother screamed at us. We were torn apart and tossed into the hallway by our Christmas-themed sweater collars. In the hustle and bustle of the garland and mistletoe, the mistletoe ironically fell on Brian's head from the doorway. Grams, be cool, it's my birthday! I expected you to behave, not run amok under my roof. She flicked on all the lights to make sure there were no other shenanigans. We were only playing a game, right, Dana? My eyes bugged out of my head. The last thing I wanted was to get in trouble. I eyed Wyatt in the corner, who had emerged from his hiding place. He shrugged his shoulders, not offering much in the way of support. Right, Dana? Naomi crossed her arms, her eyes burning holes into me. Right, I croaked. I don't care. You've had your chance. With the final flick of the living room light, Grandma Krampus decided to punish the naughty children. The party's over. Call your parents. You're all going home. Thank goodness, I thought. I was saved by the evil Christmas monster. When Wyatt's dad showed up, he asked us how the party was and wondered why it was over before the scheduled pickup time of 10 o'clock. We ran out of food, he offered. A lame excuse, but his dad didn't contest it. We started to reverse out of the driveway. I wondered what might have been if I had a few more seconds in heaven with Brian. I saw his face one last time as we made our way up the property. He sheepishly waved to me, hopeful that we'd sit on the bus together the following week. But we didn't. Wyatt and I never made it to the Cools Kid table. If I'm being honest, I didn't talk to Brian again for the rest of the year out of embarrassment for kissing him. It wasn't until I came back to Mercer after college that he struck up any type of conversation with me again. Brian was always such a good guy. I didn't deserve him then, and I sure didn't deserve him now.